Hey, what's up? This is Tim with 3 more mags. Just wanting to do a quick video on just some things I've read over the course of the last few days, and some comments that I've not just gotten myself, but some that I've read on some of the other online forums that I read periodically. A lot concerning the Second Amendment, a lot concerning freedom in general, what's going on in the country and the world. And one thing that I'm looking at now that I've been reading the last few days is the case about this little boy in England who is a terminal patient. I think everybody agrees that he is going to be a terminal patient, a little toddler. And I watched his dad come out on TV, and he was just heartbroken basically because the British government, National Health Service, and the courts have denied him an exit visa, or not necessarily an exit visa, but denied him the ability to travel with his boy, even though Italy has given citizenship to this little boy, and a hospital has agreed to try an experimental treatment for this little boy for free. They've even agreed to fly him and his family to Italy for free, but yet the British government says no, you can't take him out. Now, why would that be? If you don't know anything about British healthcare, the National Health Service in Great Britain is I think at this time is the 6th largest employer in the world. Just think about that. They're not the 6th largest country in the world by far, but their healthcare service, which is a socialist healthcare scheme, healthcare for all, is the 6th largest employer in the world, which means it's got to be either number 1 or 2 largest employer in Great Britain. They have had this since the 40s, I believe it is, and it is in shambles right now. If you do any research on it whatsoever, you'll find out that it is bankrupt. The hospitals are dismal. The service is dismal. And a lot of Brits who can afford it have private health insurance and go to the private clinics and the private sides of the hospitals to get care, because it's much better care and they can actually get care at those places. So my assumption, and I think it's probably close to correct, is that the whole reason they're denying this kid the ability for his family to take him outside of England to get care is because they're afraid that it might actually work and that the kid might survive. And if that was to happen, if this child made a recovery and other British citizens saw this, what are they going to start saying about their own socialist health care in their own country that they pay big time for in taxes? So, I get to thinking about that in terms of our freedom here in America and how we have the freedom of choice. We have the freedom of failure. That goes hand in hand with the freedom of choice, is the freedom of failure. You may not make the right decisions. You may have to live with poor decisions you've made, and other people may have to live with that too. But it's still freedom and liberty that we're talking about here. And while we may have our own issues with our healthcare systems, and we do, it's not the greatest, it's not the best in the world. It might be the best in the world in terms of care, but administratively and cost-wise, it may not be the best in the world. We definitely have problems. I've run into problems myself with my family with healthcare issues, and I'm sure everybody watching this has too. But certain things that we take for granted, that this family is now seeing firsthand, that a judge who is not a doctor, and doctors associated with the NHS that are directly involved with the case, who may possibly not want anyone to know that they don't know how to cure this kit, and maybe somebody else does. Maybe it's their arrogance, I don't know, is preventing this little boy from getting further treatment. On another note that kind of goes hand in hand with this, it's a freedom topic. I've been doing on Instagram, I've been doing every morning, I do a 1-minute history. You can only do a 1-minute video on Instagram, and I do a this day in history, and I try to highlight something from the American Revolutionary time period, and it's usually a patriot battle or something that occurred that day in anywhere from 1773 to 1785. And what it's done is, I really enjoy it. Other people seem to enjoy it too. I get a lot of people liking it, and a lot of people make comments. But what it's done for me is it's forced me to really go and study history for that day. And it doesn't take long, 3, 4, 5 minutes to really review what happened that day, and then to put it all together in my head so that I can kind of make a coherent, quick video about it. But I would challenge everybody to do something like that. Look at history. Look at American history. What's ironic to me is how so much of it happened. I'm in Boston now. I have been home for about a week and a half, but I'm back in Boston, or Salem, north of Boston, Salem, Massachusetts. And it's just amazing to me at how much of that took place right up here. Took place in Boston, took place in Philadelphia, New York, and in the countryside of Massachusetts. And the people, the patriots of that day, the courage that they had in standing up to overwhelming forces. I mean, we should have lost that war. Honestly, we should have lost that war. Great Britain should have been able to crush the colonies in no time. But they couldn't, because the spirit of patriotism and the desire of the citizenry here in the colonies for freedom and for liberty was so great that they were able to overcome the strongest and most powerful empire the world had ever seen at that time. And it's sobering to me to read about this, to read about the men and the women who stood up to tyranny and overcame all kinds of hardships, all kinds of difficulties, supply shortages, ammo shortages, anything you can think of. They overcame and persevered, and we have our country today because of that. And today, 240 some odd years later, people just don't seem to care. People don't seem to realize how fragile that freedom is, and how fragile our hold on freedom is. I'm telling you, we are 1 or 2 Supreme Court justices away from losing everything. We are 1 or 2 election cycles away from the Democrats being in total control of our government again, and us losing everything. And it is very, very sobering to me to think of that. And I also want to challenge all you patriots out there to be ready for that. Be ready for when that happens, because it is going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. Be ready, be prepared, put on your big boy pants, whatever you got to do to stand up to the tyranny that's going to come to our soil. I mean, all you people who are over 30 years old, when's the last time you ever heard open calls for a repeal of the Second Amendment? I haven't until recently. It's always been hinted at. The gun control thing has always been a thing that's been hinted at and talked about, and well, we don't really want to ban guns. We just want common sense regulation. That's been the buzzword. Pardon my coffee making back here. I'm sure you can hear it, but I started it before I started this video. Sorry. Common sense gun control has been the buzzwords, and that has been, code for gun bans. Now they're not even pretending. We have Republicans in control of the presidency, in control of the legislative branches of the government, and in control of the Supreme Court. sort of, right now. Just think what's going to happen. Just think how bold these people are going to be, the liberals, the leftists, the progressives, the Democrats are going to be when we lose control of that. When we lose control of just one branch of government. If we lose in the 2018, if we lose the midterms, if we lose the House, Trump's done. He's done. He'll be a lame duck president, regardless on if he wins his re-election or not. He'll be a lame duck president. He won't pass anything. There will be nothing that happens. Everything will stall in Congress. They will call for impeachment. They will do everything they can to thwart his agenda and the agenda of freedom and of America. And it's be ready. That's all I can say is be ready, because it's coming. One thing that concerns me is I hear and see a lot of people online claiming to be patriots, and we're ready, and by George, I'm going to stand up to tyranny and blah, 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 blah. But we can't get 200 people to a pro-Second Amendment rally at our state capitals. We can't get more than 3,000 or 4,000 people to march on Washington, D.C. at any given time. Where are all the people? Where are all the patriots? Why can't we organize like the left does and get millions marching on Washington, millions marching on our state capitals and our local governments? And I mean, you want to wake them up a little bit to the reality of the people that own all the weapons in the United States and have the guns. That would do it. But short of that, they look at us as a bunch of unorganized rabble-rousers who don't really have what it takes to stand up to the government. That's why they laugh at us a little bit. And I don't mind them laughing. That doesn't bother me a bit. What bothers me is that the people on our side, the patriots, the supposed patriots, and people who love liberty and freedom aren't getting out and doing what needs to be done. And we need to change that. In my last video, I called on the NRA to organize. I'm not so sure that was the right platform, but something needs to be done to organize us into an actual force to be reckoned with. Our government needs to fear us. Our lifetime bureaucrats that make government work their career, that make politicking their career, they need to really, for every decision they make, they need to think about, what do the patriots think? How are they going to respond to this? Do we really need to pass this legislation, or are we going to have some serious backlash? That's where we need to go, people. That's where we need to be. And I'm not sure how we're going to get there at this point, but I hope and pray to God that we do, that we are able to organize when it comes time to stand up against the tyranny that's coming to the United States of America, and it's coming soon. God bless. I'll talk to you again soon. Leave some comments in the comment section if you have anything to say, good or bad, and I'll try to answer. See you later.